us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers. Obviously, took the night off last night, but gave you guys an oldie but a goodie as we re-aired the interview with Tony Mandarich that we did last year. It was a lot of fun breaking that down and got a lot of good feedback. We'll kind of dive into that first and foremost. Matter of fact, let's just jump into it, and then I'll see if you guys got anything before we jump into the topic for tonight. So over in our Patreon group, just had a couple comments about it. Thought it was cool. Papa Smurf says, the Mandarich interview was inspiring. Great job. CJN said, this interview with Tony Mandarich is awesome, not just for the fans of your show, but for the show itself. Absolutely proud to be going into my third season with this group and watching the channel grow. So tremendously proud of you and the PTA crew. We appreciate those kind words, CJN.
Yeah, well said, CJN, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Trevor Anderson said, I'm a little behind. Well, first, let me say this about the Tony Mandarich thing. If you guys haven't heard it, I know we've got a lot of new viewers and a lot of new listeners. That's the reason you're seeing new feedback. I had a bunch of YouTube comments, people going, this is awesome. Has nothing to do with me in the interview. It was all Tony just telling his story. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, when you hear the name Tony Mandarich, because the media took it and he's the greatest bust in NFL draft history and blah, blah, blah. The guy ended up playing like 10 years in the league, 8 years in the league, something like that. But because he didn't live up to that number 2 hot. And I love how he told his story from a sense of, I was stupid coming in the league. Like I was immature. I was selfish. I was all these things. And I don't know if you guys, when was the last time you heard it, but I tried to give him an out.
Today. I heard it today on the way home. Yeah.
My favorite part of it was I tried to give him an out. Like, well, listen, Tony, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but I was like, that team, they were a dumpster fire in '89. You know what I mean? Like they were still trying to get everything situated. That was, before they really, went and got Mike Holmgren and this and that. And I was trying to give him like hey, look, it ain't just all you. The organization was in a bad place then. And he fired right back and was like, they gave me every opportunity to be successful.
Yep.
So no Tony Mandarich slander on this program. I'm sorry, just can't have it. I love the fact that he's bold in his faith and hey, look, he made some mistakes and now he's got his life straightened out. And man, just a great conversation. We message each other from time to time, and it's an honor to call him a friend of the show and all that. Yep. So anything you guys want to add to that before we get into this?
My biggest takeaway was, when you guys wrapped that interview up in the second hour, and he was basically talking about him doing public speaking and trying to tell his story, and he said basically that there's a lot of people that got the first half of his story, and maybe not everyone's interested in the second half of his story and how it turned out, but boy, does it help him in his recovery and his process and the journey that he's on. And even if it reaches one person, it's worth it. And I think it's a testament to him owning his mistakes of his past and, being the man that we see before us today. So I'm real grateful that he took that time, man, to sit down with you and do that interview, man. It was awesome.
The part that impacted me the most, Jacob, was like when he said, everybody, and I'm paraphrasing again, but it was like, I remember him specifically saying, everybody's kind of passionate about this and they're bold about their faith in that, and they're bold about their stance here politically and this and that. We need to be a little more bold about our faith, meaning Christian,
Yep.
And not to say you go out and knock other people. It's just like, hold up a minute. We've kind of been lulled into this whole, well, I don't want to push it on anybody. I don't want to mention my faith, this and that. And he's like, flush that. I'm done with that. I love that aspect of it, of the message he gave there. But anyway, Jacob, anything?
Yeah, no, I haven't listened to it in the last maybe 3-4 months, but I have listened to it multiple times. And like Tim said, a lot of people know how his career started and then the mid part, but a lot of people have no idea that, I believe, wasn't it the Colts where he ended up having a really good career? I mean, a really, really good career. I wouldn't even say like a decent career, like a really good, solid career. Obviously, he's going to have that stigma of being a bust no matter what, but I think it's nice listening to the guy. You can clearly tell that he has battled internal demons and came across the other side and has won, and he doesn't hold any regrets or I think shame. He's very willing to admit, like, hey, I F this up, and I did it multiple times, and I had people that were trying to help me along the way, and I spit in their face basically, and then like it's honestly refreshing to see somebody that says it was me. Nobody else is to blame.
accountability and ownership, and that's missing in this world, right, Jacob?
Yeah. Shout out to, because now my new favorite card that I have, and I've got a lot of memorabilia, is the Tony Mandrich sign.
Yeah.
Do we get that from, was it Rick who sent those out to us?
Mm-hmm. And here's what's crazy. Rick messaged me today. I believe it was either today or last night. And this was so cool. I thought he sent those cards because of that interview. But keep in mind, our listener and viewership is just like grown. I mean, like we're averaging over 200,000 views per every 28 days, including all of our content, right? So I just assumed, oh, that's why he sent the Tony Mandrich card. Here's what he messaged me. And he said, hey, Clayton, didn't mean to bothered you, but I would just watch the Tony Mandrich interview you did. Incredible. Thanks for that. So wild that I sent all 4 of you guys autographed cards of Tony, not knowing about the interview. I'm so glad I did. What a great individual. I said, that's crazy. I just assumed you did because you did it because I interviewed. And he said, not at all. I just really like Tony. What a classy guy. And to survive what he went through is a true miracle. That was one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. Thanks for that. Really inspirational. He asked if he ever been back to Lambeau, and I said, I don't think he has. Originally, we were talking about, hey, let's try to get him up there for the draft and this and that. I dropped the ball there. I didn't follow back up. I should have been like, hey, Tony, let's get you up here, But there's a fine line, too. When you're talking to former players and this and that, Emilio will tell you this.
Yep.
I'm the dude, like when we were at the restaurant that night, Tim, you've seen it.
Yeah,
I ain't going to talk to nobody. Like, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to. They're trying to have a comfortable moment. And I'm not trying to dog anybody who does that, but that's just my personality. Yeah. Again, Mandy refers to me as a stick in the mud. Emilio going over, throwing his arms around players, snapping selfies and taking pictures. He don't give a rat's, you know what. So I think he actually asked a couple of those players. I think he went over to Bullard's table and asked him if he could hold 100. That's what I think happened there. So. But Ed Madden says Tony Mandrich was a good guard for, I think, the Colts. He was. Yep. He ended up playing for the Colts and got everything straightened out. And again, just go back and listen to it because I don't want to screw it up.
That's the huge thing that gets glossed over in his story, and he won't take any credit for it. But the fact that he said it himself, he went from not being able to get off the couch as a person that was dealing with addiction and other issues to literally putting together 3 solid seasons as a pro in Indianapolis. And that in and of itself is, you got to love a comeback story, right? Who doesn't love a comeback story? And that's one of the best. So big shout out to Tony Mandrich.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, is there a reason Tony hasn't gone back to Lambeau? I don't think so. Now, if I remember correctly, I want to say he's in Texas or Arizona now, and he owns a business down there. Mm-hmm. The other thing that kind of made me hesitant on the whole draft thing was, not wanting to bother him, but also if he were to go to the draft and hang out with us and we had one of these casual ass fans.
Oh man, I already know.
First of all, Tony could twist their head off their shoulder, but I'm probably going to end up there in the Brown County Clink for the evening. I'm just telling you, because that's probably one of the reasons to over this is because when you hear Packer fans talk about Tony, it's always about being a bust and being a bust and being a bust.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, when we aired that, there was none of those comments. People were like, holy cow, I had no idea that's what this dude went through and fought through and this and that. And again, he didn't play victim at all. Like all this stuff he said he brought onto himself. So
maybe we can get him up here for camp this summer. Maybe we can maybe reach out. The invitation's definitely open.
Mm-hmm. Because, and we'll move on after this, but the vibe I get is even though it was kind of a negative experience for him in Green Bay, it was all self-induced. And that was the thing that turned his life around, was like realizing, all right, I gotta get my head out of my, so
for sure.
I'm with you. Chris says Mandrich should come back to Lambeau this season. I would love that, man. Would absolutely love that. So, all right. In the Patreon group, Trevor Anderson says, I'm a little behind, but listening to you talk about Shamar Stewart, and I don't think he holds any blame for the contract situation. All he wants is a normal rookie contract, and the Bengals are trying to work in language never before used by any rookie deal to get precedent the entire league will be able to use. He is 100% right to not let them do that. It seems every contract situation, the Bengals made it a sideshow. I agree with the latter part. However, Trevor, it was reported that 20 other teams use the same exact language in their rookie deals. And again, Shamar Stewart's side saying they're trying to make sure they get some of the guaranteed money back if it don't work out. And then on the agent side, which was Adam Schefter talking about, you guys know these insiders are typically getting information from the agents group, whichever one you believe, that's cool. But he said they were trying to put language in the contract that if anything happened off the field, he would have to pay the guaranteed money back. There was certain aspect of that. So I agree the Bengals are a crap show, but if this was going on with any other team right now, and it kind of feels like Shamar Stewart, if there are indeed 20 other teams that have the same language in their contract, there's only one who's refused. And here's the other thing. He refused to sign the document to participate in the mini camp. Okay. And what that means is, hey, you're covered. If you get hurt, you're covered. Your money's guaranteed. Come in and contribute in the mini camp. He refused to sign that until his main contract was done. Yeah. He was the only rookie to do that this year, to the best of my knowledge. So that's another thing that kind of throws a little bit of a red flag. And then he walked out on practice the other day and this and that. Again, this isn't to try to paint Shamar Stewart as any worse than this whole incident may already have him looking. And the Bengals are a horrible organization. There's no two ways about it. So I think both things can be true to a certain extent, but I did hear that 20 other teams had that same language. Just want to mention that there, Trevor. Anything you guys want to add to that comment here in the Patreon group? Anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, with all the quote-unquote drama that the Packers have kind of been engulfed in, especially the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, it is nice to see that there are other teams going that have – I mean, I'll be honest. If I was a Bengals fan, I would be pulling my hair out just at that front office, just being, why are you doing this to us? Like, can you just walk away and just stop stirring the pot and getting every single person that is important to this team absolutely livid? Because it seems like that's all they're really good at nowadays is
right,
pissing off every single person that they have on that team and the fan base to the point where they're going out and making like press conferences at practice. You know what I mean? So again, it's just nice to take a step back and realize that even though it's not perfect, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and all that, but being a Packer fan is definitely, things could be a lot worse. You could be a Bears fan.
You got that right. A.T. Solder says, do we know what the clawback language was for the other 20 teams? Bengals position seems overly broad. Yeah, the only thing I heard was Adam Schefter say on that morning pod that it was about the Bengals wanted to make sure they were protected if any off-the-field incidents occurred, meaning they could get that guaranteed money back. And he was trying to have it put in the contract that if something did happen, he still gets the guaranteed money. That's the way I understood it there. And it's really weird because Adam Schefter, like I said, typically comes from the agent side, right? So it was just kind of odd. Maybe, and here's the other thing, maybe some people in the organization went to Schefter and put a birdie out there that, hey, this is what's really going on, and that might not even be true. Who knows, right? So again, I'm glad you brought it up though, Trevor, because it makes me appreciative of how the Packers are doing business with their organization and obviously these signings and everything. Chase Green says, Clayton, I want to know who is pulling on counter run plays now that Jenkins is at center. Is it Banks, Morgan, Sean Ryan? Those counter plays create explosives last season in the 49ers and others. I know there's plenty of tape out there on Banks, Chase, of him getting to the next level. I mean, there was one clip of him running. They ran a counter left. So he didn't, obviously didn't pull across the formation, but he kicked out and he was like 35 yards downfield blocking. I can't remember who posted that clip when we first signed him.
That was right when we signed him. I remember seeing that. That's when I said, man, that dude can move for a guy that big, man.
Right. And on top of that, you guys remember last year, there was one play in particular. I want to say it was within the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Sean Ryan, 45 yards down the field as a lead blocker. So, Chase, I don't think you want to – not that you would want to do this, but I think as an organization or as a scheming point, you don't want to be predictable and like, here's our pull guard, here's our pull guard, here's our pull guard, right? You want to be able to do it pretty much from any angle, from any side, and keep the defense guessing. But I'm with you. Elton was good at that. Elton was really good at arriving at confrontation under control. And that's where Josh Myers struggled. Josh Myers had the athleticism to get down there. He had the athleticism to get out to the next level from the center position.
That was the problem a lot of the times is he was at the next level when he didn't need to be.
Right. And when he got out there, it was like, okay, I made it. Now what the hell do I do? Right. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Brambo says they want all to be able to void all the guaranteed money in one infraction versus just the contract year it happened in, which 20 other teams didn't ride in, unless Ryan's pod from today is wrong. So it sounds like there was 20 teams that didn't ride it in. So that means there's 12, if that's accurate. There's 12 teams that did ride it in, is what it sounds like. So you're kind of seeing this shift now, right? Where the rookies are going, okay, they've already got us hemmed up where this money is somewhat limited in terms of the overall contract. And now you got to work out the guarantees and this and that and the other. But it sounds like now they're trying to pull back a little bit more to get a little more leverage in that regard. So I need to go listen to Ryan's pod. I hadn't heard it yet. It's been a kind of a busy day, busy in a bad way, not a good day. Usually when you're busy, you get to listen to a lot of pods. Today it was one of those getting pissed off because you were constantly having to take the earbuds out of the ears. You know what I mean? One of those days. So appreciate that information, Brambo. You're the man. All right, that's going to do it for the Patreon group. Let's dive into a little Packers Lions talk. Before we do, Jacob, do you got anything you've come across today, man? Anything at all that maybe came down to Pac? I know news is kind of dead this time of year, but yeah, anything?
Honestly, no. I mean, I've been trying to find like little nuggets or articles. There's just really nothing. Although, hey, if you want to talk about stuff I found, I was telling the guys, I'll show you guys. Went to Goodwill today. Just trying to get like a little piece of soap for the gym, and then stumbled on 3 unique Brett Favre plates, all numbered, individual itemized, 3 different ones. They were for $2.99. Tim said he looked them up online. They're anywhere from 30 to 40, 50 bucks. So get her
Score.
done.
Love it.
Yeah. I like to thrift. You know what I mean?
Hey, Mandy hit the jackpot in Rockford, Illinois the other day. She just started firing pictures over to me. They were up there for a wedding.
Packers stronghold, by the way, for all you Bears fans in Illinois. Rockford is deep with Packer fans for sure.
So she just started firing these pictures of, hey, do you want this program? Bro, they're in perfect condition. I told you guys about this, 1992, 93, 94, 95, 96. I've been reading them. It's like my bedtime story every night going through there, man, and seeing the old ads and everything. It's absolutely awesome. I thought about doing an episode and sharing some content on the Patreon group, take some pictures of that program, just some key, maybe my favorite 3 or 4 pages, just to take people back in time a little bit. Really, really, really cool how it was set up. So, yeah, Jacob.
Clint says, rap with them. Shut up, Clint. No.
That's a great idea, Clint. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we should do that, Jacob. Come on. Be a team player, Jacob.
To be fair, I got nowhere to put them. So
you got to get the 4th. It's a four-piece set.
And they come with these nice little metal clanks on the thing.
Yeah, I see that. Is it like a stand? It's own little stand?
So you can hook them and hang them.
Oh, nice, nice.
Right on the wall. Boy, I tell you, I'm so proud of myself. Oof.
All right, let's get into it. Little Packers Lions talk. So what we did here, PFF has updated their website. This is really, really cool. Not that weird picture, but it's really cool how they've done this. So you guys remember last year when you go into the week of a game and you could look at the lineup matchups? Well, now they've got it year round where you can match up any 2 lineups like that. So it's really, really cool. Now, listen, we're somewhat limited in the information here from a stance of they may have some guys starting in these starting lineups that we would disagree with, but we can just kind of patch it together and mention those